When your romantic partner tells you, I love you, best to not say, I love you back. Best to say, I know. Hey guys, this is Frozen Wish to Use here, and welcome back to another movie review. Continuing on my reviews of the Star Wars live action films in honor of Star Wars Month, I am here today to do a review on Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. So Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back is the second installment in the Star Wars franchise, although it is titled Episode 5 because of the prequel trilogy. But in reality, it is the second Star Wars movie, and it came out in the year 1980 and is directed by Irvin Kershner. George Lucas is still heavily involved with this movie, by the way. And it stars Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Billy D. Williams, Anthony Daniels, David Prowse. I think James Earl Jones, but for some reason he's not included in the cast list. I'm not sure if he reprised his role as Darth Vader or not. Let me know in the comments if James Earl Jones was in this movie or not. Sorry for that noise, but yeah. Peter Mayhew, Kenny Baker, Frank Oz, Alec Guinness, etc. And so the film tells the story continuing on from the first film. I don't know how long it took from the first film, but so the film starts off with our heroes in Hoth, a snowy planet. All of them were stranded as the Empire is on their tails. The resistance base at Hoth is the only place where they can be able to feel safe. But then Luke is out there stranded in the snow. He has crash landed, and so the resistance works for him. But while Luke is stranded, he is visited by Force Ghost Obi-Wan, who tells Luke that he needs to go to Dagobah and train and be trained by Master Yoda, who was Obi-Wan's former Jedi Master. And yeah, so but then the Empire is continues to be on their tails even more as they have been able to track down the resistance in Hoth, and they use AT-ATs to blow up the base, and a war starts where a war breaks out where the resistance loses. So everybody escapes, and now they are Luke Skywalker, in hopes of defeating the evil Galactic Empire, learns the ways of the Jedi from aging Master Yoda. But Darth Vader is more determined than ever to capture Luke. Meanwhile, Leia, Han Solo, Chewbacca, and C-3PO and R2-D2 are thrown into various stages of capture, betrayal, and despair as they must escape the Empire. But the Millennium Falcon is the hyperspace is destroyed, so which puts them at even more risk. And as they land into Cloud City, where with Han's old friend Lando, the Empire targets them, and now it is up to Luke to decide on whether he wants to keep training for a while longer or be able to save his friends. So yeah, now Star Wars: A New Hope is one of the most revolutionary movies of all time. It is a movie that changed cinema forever. And one thing I forgot to mention in my review of A New Hope is that it actually saved 20th Century Fox and cinema itself, because back then, when the movie came out, before it came out, not many people were going to the cinema, and 20th Century Studios, every single 20th Century wait, did I just call them 20th Century Studios? Yeah, they were still Fox at that time. Sorry, my bad. But 20th Century Fox was on the verge of going bankrupt, as every single movie they released prior to A New Hope, Star Wars, flopped to the box office. But the moment Star Wars came out in theaters, it just blew everybody away. It just blew everybody's minds, and now it drew a lot of people in with some of the most crowded audiences ever. And so And so yeah, cinema's safe now, and so Hollywood came to the realization that a movie like Star Wars is a movie that audiences want to see. So, which is how we got a lot of these big blockbuster sci-fi spectacles in the 80s. Yeah, you probably know which ones I mean. But a sequel to Star Wars, well, yeah. If you thought the modern day movie sequels are bad, well, back then, I actually would say I would rather watch movie sequels in today's age than sequels back then, because the 70s, 80s, and most like 90s, there were actually a lot more dreadful sequels than movies set today. I am being dead serious in that. And so, yeah, I mean, we weren't sure if Empire Strikes Back was going to live up to the original or not. But what's even more of a red flag is that it is not being directed by George Lucas, but rather a director that nobody knows about, Irvin Kershner. And nobody talks about him, not even the Empire Strikes Back lovers, people who say Empire Strikes Back is the best movie of all time. They don't give a shit about Irvin Kershner. No, like they still pretend that they don't know who he is, even though, and they would acknowledge Empire Strikes Back as a George Lucas movie. Yeah, it makes sense that George Lucas owns Star Wars, but he did not direct it. So I can tell that would have been concerning. Yeah, I can tell. Yeah, that would have been really concerning. But of course, it blew everybody's minds away that Empire Strikes Back managed to be even better than the original. To this very day, not only is it considered the greatest Star Wars movie of all time, but it is considered to be one of the greatest movies of all time. There are a handful of people who would go as far as calling Empire Strikes Back the number one best movie of all time. Like, straight up the best movie ever. And some can even argue that it's the best movie of the 80s. And there are some other Star Wars movies that would be considered the best Star Wars movies. A New Hope. There are some who say A New Hope is the best. There are some who say Revenge of the Sith is the best. Maybe Last Jedi. I guess Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, that's their Force Awakens, but a vast majority say that Empire Strikes Back is the best one. And yeah, and as for my opinion on the Empire Strikes Back, do I agree with people that it is the best Star Wars movie ever? Hell freaking yes. I 1,000,000% agree with the majority that this is the best Star Wars movie of all time. Best movie of all time. Is it one of the greatest movies of all time? I wouldn't go as far as putting this in my top 10 favorite movies of all time, but it is certainly my top 20 for sure. I just think that there are 10 movies that are better, but yeah. Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back is truly the best Star Wars movie ever made. Not just on an objective level, but on a personal level too. A New Hope is a film that felt unmatched because, like what I said earlier, it saved 20th Century Fox and cinema as a whole. If it wasn't for Star Wars, 20th Century Fox would have been shut down for good. The Empire Strikes Back surpasses the original in almost every single way due to how it is a lot darker, more mature. It's more mature, and its visuals hold up better. This is basically the Frozen 2 of Star Wars. What Frozen 2 is in today's society, that is what Empire Strikes Back was to the previous generation. The storytelling is much more nuanced and complex than the first film, with a perfect three-act structure. And just by me explaining the plot synopsis alone, you can tell how much more complex it is. You can argue that the story in New Hope is just a basic, our male heroes must save the damsel in distress from being captured by evil villain. But Empire Strikes Back is very complex. And yeah, like what I said, it has a perfect three-act structure. One of those movies where you can clearly see the three-act structure. The first act is our main characters, Stranded on Hoth, and are trying to escape. The second act is Luke training with Yoda while his friends are being chased by the Empire, and the third act is Luke saving it, like going to his friends and saving them. What makes this film dark is how every single character is put in a bad place, and not once do you feel like our heroes have victory to celebrate. In fact, you can say that our heroes are at their lowest points yet. I mean, not personal lows, but just the fact that they're losing. They're losing. Luke Skywalker trains to be a Jedi, but he loses to Vader because he made a decision to face Vader without like being fully trained. Han, Leia, and the rest of the gang on board the Millennium Falcon lose because they could not stop the Empire. In the first act of the film, the only survival base that the Resistance has on Hoth gets destroyed. Every single hero in this movie is in constant panic mode, and the villains believe that they're more powerful. The villains are a lot more confident that they'll be able to stop the Resistance, that stop the heroes than the other way around. The film, there are also some jump scares that actually turn out to be terrifying, especially with the creatures in Hoth. Yeah, there's this one creature that jump scared Luke, and also when the Han, Leia, and the rest of the gang are on this weird moon-like planet. They get jump scared by this creature, this huge creature, snake-like creature, and that is actually very terrifying. Probably the most terrifying scene in all of Star Wars. Sure, yes, A New Hope also had jump scares, to be fair, like that scene where Luke was spying at the Jawas with his binoculars, and then this one warrior jumps close to the binoculars, and yeah, that's a jump scare. But Empire Strikes Back, yeah, I mean that just shows how dark it is, but it's more like surface level dark. While I still stand by considering Luke, Han, and Leia fending off stormtroopers in A New Hope to be the best action scene in the original trilogy, this film has stakes that are raised even higher. They raised the bar even higher than they did in the first film. And it has such iconic action scenes, specifically two very iconic action scenes. The battle at Hoth, the battle at Hoth, the Luke versus Vader lightsaber duel, and even some of the smaller action scenes like Millennium Falcon and TIE Fighters chasing each other. Yeah, every single action scene in this movie features our heroes losing. In the Hoth battle, the AT-ATs were able to the base was destroyed. Yes, sure, the AT-ATs, they were taken down, but the base was still destroyed, and everyone still had to evacuate, and even Darth Vader was able to enter Hoth and find out where the base is. And the Millennium Falcon versus the TIE Fighters, I mean, they were supposed to go to hyperspeed, but then it broke, so now they cannot defeat the Empire. And they don't even defeat the TIE Fighters. Sure, yeah, they did beat TIE Fighters, but still. And of course, Luke versus Vader. I'll talk about that later on in the review. The romance between Han and Leia is very developed as they go from characters who always argue and bicker nonstop to characters who grow on each other. As the film progresses, Han and Leia must work together to survive the Empire, which has helped them get along better, and up to the point they've become lovers. Well, kind of lovers. Technically, they're not a full-fledged couple yet until Return of the Jedi, mainly because Leia still sees Luke as her lover and Luke sees Leia as his lover. But that's mainly because they both don't know that they're siblings yet. I guess I kind of understand that. Even though I know some people say that the Luke and Leia kiss is gross once you find out that they're sisters, that they're siblings. That makes sense, but Yeah, that's actually my one nitpick with the film. The kiss between Luke and Leia, that is a little bit weird. That is a kind of uncomfortable to watch, considering that we all know they're siblings. We all know that twist in Return of the Jedi. However, I think what makes us feel like Han and Leia are like have already a strong chemistry, regardless of what they've gone through early on in the film, is in the scene when Han is trying to is going to like sacrifice himself to save everyone, as he volunteers to he turns himself over to Boba Fett, another character they introduced in the film, so that and then he turns into Carbonite. But before Han's sacrifice, Leia tells Han, "I love you," and Han says, "I know." That is probably the greatest "I love you" line delivery ever put to film. And you can really feel like it's believable. It's not forced. A bad line delivery of that would have felt forced. But this movie, it feels like they truly, truly mean it. Yeah, it feels convincing. The scenes with Luke training with Yoda is a lot better than I remember. But I still stand by preferring the other plotline with Han, Leia, C-3PO, R2-D2, and Chewie trying to escape the Empire, but then are faced with obstacles. Yeah, I prefer that plotline. I can see why people say Luke and Yoda training is the best part of the film. Well, besides of course the Vader stuff, but it's still really good. And Luke is very relatable in this film, as I'm someone who has a hard time with patience, and if there's something I know I need to do, I do it without being aware of the consequences. Luke may not be ready to become a Jedi yet, but he still goes on to face Vader. Luke being defeated by Vader is the consequence of his lack of patience. He was told that he needs more training, but Luke sensed that his friends were in danger, and it's only right that he to go save his friends. He'd choose that over completing his Jedi training. A New Hope may have been the introduction to the world of Star Wars and the basics of it all, but The Empire Strikes Back provides a bigger picture of what Star Wars is, and that's one of the reasons why this is better than the original. We are introduced to AT-ATs, Yoda, Boba Fett, like bounty hunters, even Palpatine is introduced in this film, etc. The film also gives more information about the Force and how to be a true Jedi, how it takes patience and fear and bravery to be a true Jedi. But if you have impatience, patience says if you have your hatred inside of you, if you have fear inside of you, that leads into the dark side. So we all get all these information from this film. This feels like the real deal for Star Wars and everything about it. The movie also showcases amazing planets like planet Hoth, the gorgeous snowy planet. Dagobah, the Yoda's planet, which is probably the weakest. Not one of my favorite planets, the weakest planet in this one, but still pretty good. A little overrated. Dagobah, that's the name. And my favorite planet in all of Star Wars, Cloud City. If there is any Star Wars planet I would love to live in, it's Cloud City. Such a gorgeous looking planet. The visuals are upgraded without hesitation. Now I will say I did notice some outdated effects, specifically with the Hoth creatures, those Hoth camels that they ride on. Sometimes the way they move, yeah, it's a little outdated, but not a problem to me. Yeah, but it still looks really gorgeous, and it looks far more cinematic than the first one. And for 1980s standards, yeah, this is the most visually stunning movie of the 1980s. The most visually impressive moment in the film would have to be the cave scene where Luke sees a vision of Darth Vader. Luke cuts his head off with his lightsaber, and Darth Vader's mask gets blown up, and Anakin's face gets seen. That is such a visual phenomenon. And it's a visual metaphor about Luke's inner self and the kind of person he would become if he joins the dark side. The film is also filled with some of the most unpredictable plot twists, like coming from from the smaller plot twist, like Vader arriving in Cloud City before the others, to what is objectively the single greatest plot twist ever. Vader being Luke's father. Father, like seriously. Now, I will say though, I don't think it's my favorite plot twist. I think there are plot twists that I love more. There are other plot twists I am more blown away. I cannot think of any examples right off the top of my head, honestly. Yeah, but I know for a fact that if I made a top 10 greatest movie plot twist of all time, I would not put this at number one, simply because I mean, those who saw Star Wars, a little late, like I saw it for the first time in like 2014 or something. I already knew that Darth Vader was Luke's father. So it was not shocked to me to see. But I can see that it did shock a lot of people. And fun fact, guys, back then, when people saw Empire Strikes Back in like 1980s, they did not believe that Darth Vader was actually Luke's father. They had to like wait for the next film to confirm that Vader really is Luke's father. But it came off as such a shocking moment right there. That is a revolutionary plot twist right there. So yeah, and it features some of the greatest dialogue ever put to film, with such iconic lines like "do or do not." There is no try. Especially I am your father, which some say is the greatest line ever. I wouldn't say that, but I can totally see why. It's a lot of people's favorites line ever put to film. The score from John Williams is iconic as always. There's like literally nothing else to add. I will say that the track with at the end with the dun 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 dun. Sorry, I'm out of tune, but but the one at the end, it's kind of an underrated score, honestly. Like nobody gives that score enough love. And speaking of underrated, an underrated aspect of the film is the directing. Irvin Kershner is one talented director, and the fact that he's a nobody, he's like a director who's like, we weren't sure, we wouldn't be sure if he was able to pull off a Star Wars movie, yet gave us the greatest Star Wars movie of all time. That is something impressive, but nobody talks about Irvin Kershner. Nobody talks about how good his directing is. So I think that's one thing that I feel like it gets needs more love. And I get that most people will acknowledge this as a George Lucas movie, but this is Irvin's directed movie, yeah. Oh, and also the pacing is really fast as well. Now, when I first saw Empire Strikes Back, I found this movie to be slow. I found this movie to be quite slow, but then over time, the more I rewatched it, the more I realized this is actually a fast-paced movie. Maybe if you're a patient person who's like, and all that stuff, yeah. There was never the moment that dragged, not at all. It's engaging from start to finish, and it's a fun movie too. So it's not just a movie that you just love for its objective reasons. You can still have fun with it too. So overall, The Empire Strikes Back is just as masterful as everyone else says it is. It is a film that truly put Star Wars on the map with how much it introduced, and it brought the franchise into dark and mature territories. This really is the best Star Wars movie ever made, period. And I would say that this is my second favorite movie of the 1980s, second only to Back to the Future. So yeah, I highly doubt there'll ever be a Star Wars movie or a Star Wars project like this ever again. So that said, guys, I'm gonna give Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back, of fucking course, 5 stars out of 5. Perfect movie. So that's all for my review of The Empire Strikes Back. What are your thoughts on the movie? Would you agree that this is the best Star Wars movie of all time? Or do you have a personal favorite Star Wars movie? Comment down below, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned for my movie review on Star Wars Return of the Jedi. My last Star Wars movie for the meantime until next week. Yes, and yes, I will review 3 each Star Wars trilogy per week. This week is the original trilogy. Next week is the prequels, and then the 2 weeks from now is the Disney Star Wars movies. So yeah, bye guys.